Thanks for joining us for our agent panel on reaching success in under 2 years or zero to career in under 24 months. I want to thank our panelists for joining us today as part of our virtual trade show. We've got Ellen and Rodney Lawless from the Trolley Road office. We've got Denise Runza from the Isle of Palms office, Thorne Cathcart from Long Point Road, and Jennifer Smith from our Main Street office. Welcome.
Thank you.
I want to start off, and I'll start off on our end with Ellen and Rodney, so we get 2 for 1, and talk a little bit about how you guys grew your business. You know, I think everybody out there knows that although a lot of people get into real estate, it's really tough to be successful. 87% of new agents will actually be out of the business within 5 years because, you know, real estate has a little bit of a low barrier entry. So a lot of people try it thinking it's easy, they can make a bunch of money, and then they realize it really takes a lot of hard work. So hoping you guys can share some of those insights as to how you actually built a successful career and, you know, obviously with lots of future plans from here. So Rodney, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you guys did?
Okay. Well, for us, we're military. We're retired military. We spent 9 years here active duty, and so that was a big influence on getting our real estate career. The challenge for me personally was to change from Sergeant Lawless to, you know, real estate lawless, real to ride. But that was the tough part really on that. But it was really what I found is what came into influence our career right off the bat was I found how I treated people previous to real estate affected how I attracted them in real estate. I had a lot of people that approached me about selling or buying and said, you know, you really treated me well when I was down. I trust you. Yep. So that trust was huge. And I got the chills right now thinking about it because you just don't understand the influence you have on some people until that moment comes.
Ellen?
I think, just like Rodney said, how you treat people before you go into real estate plays a major role into who knows you, likes you, trusts you. And the other thing that I thought helped us obviously launch was huge with that. Choosing the right brokerage was major impact with that. I mean, that was huge. But the other thing was getting a real estate mentor. We immediately, especially with 2020 and COVID, I mean, having that mentor when all of that hit just kept us focused and kept us going.
Yep.
That's great. Denise, how about you? Where does most of your business come from, and how have you started off on building a real estate career?
Well, I'm a former teacher from East Cooper Montessori, and so a lot of my business came from that, my center of influence. But I think mostly just really following, I wouldn't say drink the Kool-Aid, but kind of what John and Barbara gave us going through launch really helped to set me up for success, like going to Mastery, sending the notes, doing your Ninja 9, all of those things were really helpful.
Well, I think when we look at backgrounds of one being military and the other being education, certainly systems and working a plan are not new to you guys, so I'm sure that helped you out a little bit. Jennifer, tell us a little bit about your journey as you built your business and where most of your clients come from now.
So I also have a background in education. I was a speech pathologist for many years working with special needs students. And the bulk of my business has come from my sphere of influence. I'm a Charleston native, so that helps. I know a lot of people here. And then also open houses. I really was working the system, and really, I've always been a hard worker and given 175% to anything, and I did the same thing with real estate, and it definitely helped to get things rolling and moving along.
Have you ever had an open house where someone didn't come?
Yes, my very first one, and I refused to be intimidated by that, so I did.
Well, I think that's key. You know, we always talk that, you know, if you're a professional baseball player and you hit the ball 1 out of 3 times for your career, you're in the Hall of Fame. But sometimes somebody does an open house and doesn't have success, or maybe they do 2 or 3 and don't have success and they give up on them. But how many were you doing as you were growing your business in the very early phases where you didn't have any clients to work with?
So I was doing 3 and 4 a weekend. I was really, really pushing.
So when we get to the question a little later about luck, you can tell us how you made your own luck. Thorne, you and I first met when you were working in the marketing department, and then you transitioned to be an agent. Tell us a little bit about that transition and how you built your business as an agent and got to some of the success you're having now.
Yeah, so like Michael said, I was in the marketing department, as some of you've known. But before that, I was actually working for Guild Mortgage doing mortgages. So I kind of, came to the realization while I was in the marketing department, helping agents be successful, learn how to do the right systems, provide, signs, whatever it was. I said, I think I'm going to be an agent. Why not use these two backgrounds and put them together and use those tools? And, going to the College Charleston, I think that really helped as well. Being local and, being from Columbia, not too far away, having those ties, I think really helped me. And just, tons of open houses. I think I did at least 2, maybe 3 a weekend. That really helped. And being the millennial that I am, I think having the social media presence is super important. It's at least once or twice a week I'll post something or just, listing. Hey, what's cool about that house? Where is this? Or, I see you're doing all this and that. And I think consistency really adds up to it. If you're consistent and just constantly in front of people, I think that helps. They see you're serious. Like Michael said, I think 13% of the people really make it. And kind of going off that, I'm sure some of you watch Shark Tank or have seen Shark Tank, but Robert said on Shark Tank one time, he said, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And I think that's the main reason why we're here.
Yeah, I think consistency really is key. I mean, how many of you guys, anybody think it was going to be easy when you first got your license?
I didn't. We all went through launch, and I didn't have a closing until maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 months after launch. I said, "Is this really for me?" But I stayed consistent. I stuck to the systems, and it ended up paying off.
And 4, 5, or 6 months to your first closing, how many did you do last year?
I had 13 closings last year.
So obviously, the consistency and sticking with it really does show. It can be a business that takes a while to be successful, but like you said, when you're doing 3 or 4 open houses in a weekend as you're trying to build your business, that's kind of when you're putting in some of that work. What systems or programs do you guys use to stay in touch with your clients and hopefully build your spheres? Denise, you want to talk about that?
Basically, I use the Lion Desk for all my contact management and do Visimail, Lolo. My top thing that I really am passionate about is handwritten notes. And I write tons of them. I write them to parents. I write them to children. I write them to neighbors, your doctor, somebody that helps you. That's kind of where I'm passionate about. However, I will say that this week, phone calls, personal phone calls have always been a fear of mine and knowing what to say. But this week I just picked up the phone and conquered the fear, and they said, "Come on over, let's have a listing appointment." So it worked.
So what made you, just focus on you for a second, what made this week, what made you do something different that was outside of your comfort zone?
Because things are challenging right now. We're not getting the listings that we normally have. I have a few buyers lined up, but right now, with inventory being short, I want to just make sure that things are continuing to flow and that I'm staying in touch with people.
But I think that's key, to be able to look at the market and look at the challenges in it and look at your business and saying, what do I need to add to my business that isn't something I was doing before, that's going to be a change, that's going to respond to the market and the environment that we have. And, there are lots of things that are going to be uncomfortable for people, but the fact that you did that and picked up the phone and got a listing appointment out of it, that's great. Well done.
Thanks.
Rodney, what do you guys do to stay in touch with your clients and, help grow your sphere and make sure you're in flow with them?
Well, we use a CRM similar to the Lion Desk. We're actually in between. We're kind of merging from one to another. But the CRM, I've gotten kind of bad about the written notes, and I'm kind of getting back into that. But really, Thorne mentioned it. Social media is huge.
You guys are really good at that.
Well, thanks. But I really, for me personally, I'm more of that part of it where she's got a whole different role in this business. But I just try to be everywhere all the time.
All right, well, let's talk about the social media for a minute. How do you do? What do you post about? How do you post? Is it automated system? Or are you doing it yourself? Because a lot of times, sometimes people say, well, I want someone to help me with social media, but it's not just something that does itself. So how are you communicating with the people that are in your social media sphere that you find to be effective in the real estate world?
Okay, yeah. So we have a business page like everybody else does, and our personal page. But honestly, I try to post. I post a lot, and everybody I try to make about 10 posts a day. Not necessarily on my like storylines.
Sure.
Between Instagram and Facebook and other things.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important part with social media that works for us is just being real
That's right,
and
yep.
just being positive. Not always posting about real estate,
Right.
but posting about our real lives, our real struggles, and that attracts
Right.
the type of people that you want to work with.
Right.
And the other thing is social media is a huge impact, but loving people where they're at in that social media sphere. You know, with COVID and all that, it would be easy to fall into the negativity that came along with that, but people needed a light
Right.
during that. And
Right.
so no matter what phase or time period, it's
Yeah.
important to be a light. And so I think,
Well, and
that's one part.
right now with COVID going on, people are isolated more than they've ever been. And so I want them to get to know us and and when they know you, they like you, they trust you, they want to do business with you. So I throw things out there. Like I haven't talked to Denise in over a year, and she's like, I really love where you were watching Bigfoot show. And I'm like, yeah, I'll throw myself out there. I enjoy, I like that kind of stuff. I
Sure.
think it's fascinating, it's funny, and I throw it out there. Yeah, and I throw it out there, and I said, what do y'all think? Is he real?
Well, I think it goes back to what you started with, which is how you treated people when you're in the military before real estate, and how you do your real estate business. And it is about being
Right.
true and authentic and real and being connected to your people. So, Thorne, you taught some of these programs. You had to answer questions about some of these programs, and obviously, I love the fact that said, hey, I can use some of these to my own success. So, what programs did you integrate into your business in staying in touch with your sphere, and how do you do that?
Well, being able to have listings, I think, is key, especially now. So having that chance to do, the Just Listen, Just Sold postcards, I think that's huge. 'Cause especially in this market right now, people get a Just Listed, and then 30 days later they get Just Sold. They're like, wow, that was quick. I wonder what they use. So I think the C180 program is huge when you have listings. I use the Visamail and Lolo. I'm more heavy on the Lolo, though, I would say, because a lot of my contacts are closer to my age. They don't want to maybe put a postcard or whatever on their fridge or whatever.
Fair enough.
But, it is what it is. I do use them both, and
Absolutely.
I've had success, and, people find value in both. But I think having, the Lolo is very, very key. And then just, reaching out to the graphic department, having my own little yard sign logo, throwing that on whatever I post, it gives your own recognition, Carolina One's recognition, and just, going off that, any type of social media, changing it up, being true to yourself, having personal stuff. I think that really helps and attracts people because they may be going through the same thing you are.
right.
They maybe can relate, hey, oh man, he's a Atlanta Braves baseball fan. Me too. Or something simple. But it's something I think social media just really brings people together along with the programs that allow people to connect that way.
And as part of the virtual trade show, hopefully you've had the opportunity to check out the Lolo booth and learn about those programs or Visamail or C180 and why advertising your listing, even if it's going to sell fast in the market, is as much advertising yourself as it is that listing. I mean, why not put that inventory that everyone wants out there, and just make sure you're ready for those calls if it's under contract as to how to ask enough questions to, build a relationship with that buyer and then maybe find them something else if that property you had is. Too many people, I think, are short-sighted sometimes and think, well, if it sells real fast, I don't need to send the postcards or I don't need to promote it, but that really isn't always the intent. Denise, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add that even if it goes under contract, you can use those marketing material as advertising you and your business going forward even.
Yeah.
Like I mail them out to people.
So Jennifer, I don't want to leave you nothing. I don't want to leave no chicken on the bone for you to have any conversation on. But is there anything you wanted to add about that, or more relevant, how has your business shifted from open houses where you didn't have maybe a sphere of active buyers to today where the open house may be sold by the time you do it? How has that shifted, and how has your business shifted that way?
So it's a lot of the social media. I mean, I'll echo the same things that everyone else has said. Social media is huge, and I try to balance that. They don't want to just see real estate all the time. They want to see real. So I try to balance the real estate with the realness and the authenticity. And then the handwritten notes. I mean, maybe it's because we're educators. That's part of how we're made. I love the handwritten notes, and I really lean on those. And I'm trying to do better about my phone calls as well. A big thing for me is just I've never been one to stay in my comfort zone. So if I start to feel comfortable, I feel like I have to stretch and push limits. And so that's one for me that I've really been trying to push a little bit more because I started to feel comfortable. So that told me I needed to grow. And that's just been a big thing for me with this whole career, is just being willing to step outside of what was comfortable, because none of this is comfortable initially. It's very uncomfortable. And being willing to step into that and embrace that has been huge for me.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and continue to have our discussion with agents who have built a career in their first couple of years and really achieved success when many fail by doing it in an intentional, thoughtful, authentic, and focused way. So we'll be right back. All right, we're back to our agent panel of reaching success in under 2 years with a group of agents that really have defied the odds in an industry that's very tough to stick with and get started in, and they've actually achieved great success. I wanted to follow up on one thing that you guys said and maybe follow up. When you talk about your social media posts, we see some agents who post about had 19 closings this week, or sold this house in one day. And I'm wondering how careful you guys are on what message you're sending out in those posts, as far as, do you avoid closed in one day as opposed to, achieve my client's goals type thing? How do you balance not making it sound easy while also kind of talking about your success? Roddy?
You brought up a great point, because one thing that you have to stay away from is making it about you. It's always about them. What's in it for them? Always providing value. What can you do for them? Because just be blunt, they don't give a crap what you're doing. They only care about them, as they should. It's their home. It's their biggest investment. Or they're getting ready to buy their biggest investment. So it's about them.
Yeah. Thorne, you want to chime in on that, or you have any suggestions on that front?
I think when you post stuff like that, like you said, you have to make it about them, but maybe you're not really selfish, but you kind of have to, show that you know what you're doing at the same time.
Right, absolutely.
Like make a statement. Okay, congratulations to my first-time home buyers. They bought this house in beautiful Avondale. Something along those lines. You have to kind of make it a mix of the both, so people know what you're doing, you make them feel comfortable, and you did the best job you could for that client, whether it's buyer or seller.
Yeah, there's going to be some self-promotion in there all the time, but the ones that resonate the most with me that I see is, like you said, help my first-time buyers find this home in Avondale in a crazy low inventory market. Yep. That helps, I think, send a message. But then I see some that, sold this house in one day, and I'm thinking, your whole sphere just thinks you're really expensive and what you do is really easy. And sometimes I think you can send the wrong message by focusing on the wrong things. Rodney?
No, you brought up a good point. Because it's not easy.
Right. Just because it's sold in one day, there's a lot that goes in before that. So, a snapshot can also sell us short sometimes. So I think, again, back to everything we're talking about, that intentionality and that realness that you're conveying that with really does come down to the key. I mentioned this or kind of gave a tip to this question in the beginning about luck and about the steps that you guys take to put yourself into a position to be lucky. And I wanted to kind of transition that into a little bit about goal setting and business planning. We're coming up now to the last month of the first quarter, which is amazing already, having finished a very busy 2020. And I wanted to ask, and Jennifer, I'm going to start with you this time so you don't get the end, about how you do your business planning and goal setting at the end of the year, and then what you do through the year. Is that something you're looking at weekly, quarterly, and how do you, make adjustments if you're, behind, ahead? How do you move those goals? Do you move those goals? Why don't you tell us what you do on goal setting and business planning?
So I am constantly looking at my goals and revising where I need to.
Constantly is how often?
I would probably say every few weeks I'm
Great.
sitting down
That's awesome.
and really figuring out if I'm hitting the target or way off of the target and what I need to do differently. So just looking at, I know what my goal is for the year, and then I break that down into what I need to be doing monthly. Also constantly focusing on my why. That's huge for me. Keeping my why first and foremost helps in those hard days and in a market like right now where it's kind of difficult to get things moving because it's hard to get the listings and it's hard to find the buyers what they're looking for. So just constantly going back to my why. I'm a single mom and I have a picture of my son and he's everywhere, and that helps me to always remember what motivates me and to not be afraid to put in the hard work and really dig in. And I think we all have really powerful whys that we need to keep at the forefront to keep us moving along.
My follow-up question was going to be, if you are off your goals or if you do have challenges, how do you keep your mindset right? And I'm guessing that would be the same answer.
Yes.
At the end. I had the privilege of meeting an agent in Toronto one time, and he had a whiteboard in his office. He had a whiteboard with all his clients' names on it, and he had his vision board and his why behind his desk. And he said every time he walked in his office, he saw his clients, he stopped to look at their names. Who can I help today? He moved them into warm and hot and different lists. And then before he sat down, he looked at his why. And then he sat down and went to work. So I appreciate that. Denise, what do you do on business planning? I think you told me your broker said you were one of the few that completely filled it out in that office. And what do you do business planning, goal setting?
I like paper and pencil. So.
There you go. Did she correct it?
No, she liked it. But
Good.
I'm a big dry erase board. I have like 2 or 3 boards. One would be my goals, one's my clients' hot and warm list, and continually updating those and just checking things off, continually. And then having a vision board. I'm a big vision board person too, sits on my desk. And so I do it by computer and then also just visually. So every day you see it.
Thorne, I know in the Long Point Road office, I know Maggie had some vision board exercises. I think one time where everybody actually, cut them out of the magazine and put them on, where they actually physically built that vision board. What do you do goal setting and vision-wise?
So we are pretty big on that, and I think it is pretty impactful. You see different agents that come on, and they're like, wow, something came true on my vision board, and it's really exciting to see, and it's really cool. So along with that, I made it a point at the end of last year with Maggie. I said, I need you to hold me more accountable. She said, done. And so what I do with her is I meet with her once a month. I have my goals with me, my hot, warm list, things like that. And I ask her to provide me with at least one challenge each month, either to get me out of my comfort zone, to do something better that I'm not doing currently, or just, something along those lines. And I think that's helped this year. One of them being, meet with an agent, each month that you see that your business is similar. Go off of them, but at the same time, don't look at it as a shiny object. You have to be true to your business because you're your business. You set your expectations, you set your goals, and at the end of the day, if you're not hitting them, it's really on you.
Yeah, I think it's great seeing the common themes of pushing something outside your comfort zone. And I've had real estate agents ask me in the past if they should have a coach, and I've told them, you do. You know, the reason we believe in the philosophy of a non-competing broker is their success is your success. Their job's not to go out and sell real estate. Their job is to help you be more accountable. And I had the chance one time to listen to Michael Phelps's coach speak, and you know, he could never swim 5 meters as fast as Michael Phelps, but he made him better by being able to hold him accountable and look from the outside and those sorts of things. Your broker is never going to be the agent you're going to be, but their job is there to help hold you accountability and give you that level of accountability that you want. So I really would encourage people to take full advantage of that. Denise, go ahead, and then we're
Can
going
I
to ask
just
Rodney and Alan
add,
what you guys do on business planning-wise. Go ahead.
I would say when speaking of your coaches, I think we have an amazing coaches with Carolina One in the mastery that they provide and our meetings and our town hall meetings. We love listening to all the presenters, and it's really helpful.
And that was not a paid celebrity endorsement. We did not put her up to that, but I do recommend and encourage everybody to take advantage of that. I know you might have clients at a time and things get busy, but you can go back. You know, Dave Sanson put out an email today talking about where are we in inventory, where are we in buyer activity, and how are you going to educate yourself on that. I start every Monday morning with Java with Johns. It puts my mindset in the right way, and I'm not going out there and selling houses. I'm coming to the office, but I think that's important. Ellen and Rodney, what do you guys do business-wise, and how do you keep your mindset right? We'll have another panel next year about husband and wives working together and the dynamics of that relationship. Don't have time for that today, but what do you guys do in goal setting and business planning?
So for us, our why is huge. We're both full-time real estate agents, realtors, and so knowing our business, knowing our numbers, knowing our why is huge because it impacts every aspect of our life. I would say one of the big things that we did early on was we did reach out to a fellow agent in our office who has become a real estate mentor to us and a coach. And he actually took the business. John Brewer has a goal setting class, business class at the end of the year, beginning of the new year. We took that. Our coach was in that class with us, and so just breaking down those numbers, knowing those goals, and having him along with our broker keep us accountable. It's huge, and that's one of the reasons why I always like to say stick and stay. When you find someplace, stick and stay. And we have just stuck with Carolina One, and it has helped us set our goals. We know we're aligned with the right place, and keeping that vision board, knowing those numbers, keeping those in front of us all the time.
Yeah, she's the numbers person in this team. I'll do the numbers if I have to. I don't enjoy numbers, and I'm glad she enjoys it. She sets the goals, she tells me to do it, and I'm full throttle.
And that's exactly what John Brewer told us to do.
John Brewer, exactly. He goes, I know what your roles are going to be. I was like, no, that's not going to be. And that's exactly how our roles are. I'm full throttle. I'm out there, and she keeps me focused on, hey, here's what we got to do, and I find the tools and to do it. But one of the big things I think in real estate, as I talk to people who have quit or past realtor or whatever or struggling, is comparison. It's very important that you do not compare your race with somebody else. Well, I won't say race, but your business.
Sure.
Comparison will kill your spirit. And I don't know if you brought up Michael Phelps, and one that I think it was the last Olympics or whatever, where he was in the lane, and whoever it was next to him was just almost there with him, and he kept looking over at Michael Phelps, and Michael Phelps was like focused on the end of the lane, and you can't put your focus on anybody else. You know, you have to focus on yourself.
No, that's a great point. You know, we talk about, running your own race, and however fast you want that pace to be, you think about those same things. Somebody runs past you in the race, and you may pass them a few miles later. And just because they're running fast right there,
Right.
doesn't mean they're in it for the long run, and doesn't mean everyone succeeds. But I do think back to John Brewer talking about, we can all get in the car and drive for 30 minutes, but if only one of us has the directions, only one of us will get somewhere. And so you've got to have that plan. You've got to have that plan both for building your business and for setting your goals and achieving success. And I think that's one of the reasons this industry does have such a high level of agents who don't make it, is because it can be, in certain environments, an environment of lack of engagement. And without someone there holding you accountable and without someone giving you a roadmap to move successfully through these first few years of the business, it can be increasingly difficult. Want to wrap up our panel here with a quick chance. If you guys have any tips or anything you want to share with our viewing audience in a critically low inventory world of what you're doing to attract listings or buyers to you. Denise, anything you're doing differently? I know you said you made that phone call and got a listing appointment. Anything else that you've added as far as the listings or buyer side?
Not currently, just plugging away, but I would say one of the things that I found was really helpful is to find an area that you're really passionate about, whether you're doing an open house or you're just talking to people at the grocery store, but find an area you're passionate about and it will just naturally flow. The conversation is not hard, it's just natural, and I think that's what people really want.
And for the record,
and say yes to any location, though. I wouldn't rule anything out. That's helped too.
And for the record, given the lights in the studio and the reflection that were coming off their name badges, every single agent on this panel walked in with their name badge on. And I had a great success story yesterday of someone who picked up a buyer at the checkout line with their name badge on. You've always got to make sure people know you're in real estate and that you're ready to talk about this market in an educated and meaningful way. Anything anybody else wants to share on anything you're doing differently in this tight listing environment, or any tips or advice you want to give to new agents who are out there?
I think mindset is huge. Just keeping your focus, and then the other thing is look for the need and reach out to people, even if you're not expecting a buyer or a seller or anything like that. But just care for people, and it'll come back around.
Yeah, and consistency. We heard it all through everybody mentioned consistency. 3 or 4 open houses, and I know your story a little bit. You stuck with it and overcome some challenges. I was at a men's group this morning, and one of the men in my group, he owns a local business. He's like, Rodney, you're consistent. I see your posts every morning. And I'm like, well, that's good. I'm not upsetting you, are you? You're like, no, I'm just, how you be so consistent?
And back to what Ellen was saying too, sorry, just the without expectation, the loving on people, serving people, giving value to people without expecting that listing or that sale. I think that's just huge. People recognize and appreciate authenticity, and they know when you're coming from a place of serving their interest instead of serving your own. So I think that was well said, without expectation.
Do you want to add something?
No, I was just going to add just a few things. I think just being creative. I was talking with Craig Mosqueda in the parking lot before we walked in. He's at our Charleston Central office, right? Mm-hmm. We got to get creative in this market. There's less than 2,000 homes available. We got to find a way to be creative, and I think that starts with our routine. Right when you wake up, for instance, I go to the gym every morning. I do what I can, but if you get out of your routine, your business is going to reflect it too. So not only that, but maybe joining some sort of small network. The Charleston Young Professionals Facebook group. They have virtual events because of COVID. If it was in person, it'd be a lot better. Obviously, we know that. But just doing things like that just to set you apart, I really think that's pretty huge.
Well, I want to thank you all for joining us today. If you logged in to watch us during our virtual trade show panel, and we're hoping for an easy answer to how to be successful in this business, I'm sorry we couldn't deliver it to you. I think the lessons are key, that it takes hard work, it takes discipline, but it also takes caring about people in genuine and authentic ways, And if you can do those things and also present yourself as an expert, stay consistent, stay in flow with your people, not be afraid to do the hard work, not be afraid to get outside your comfort zone, know what your goals are, track them, follow them, and make adjustments as necessary. This is a business where you can be successful. It's not easy. It takes a lot of hard work. But the good news is, and you can join us for our agent panel on mid-level agents and top producers, it does build on itself. And as you continue to do those things, all the top producers who were coming in later and mid-level producers were exactly where you guys were a few years into their careers. And as you build on those things and keep the things that built your careers in place, you can continue to build a long-term viable career, and real estate really is a great profession. So I want to thank you guys for sharing your time with all the agents here and with me, and for partnering with Carolina One. And I hope to see everybody else at our other agent panels on mid-level agents, top producers, getting listings, and also staying in flow with your clients. So thanks for joining us at the Virtual Trade Show.